In this video, we are going to talk about top 10 most popular reptiles. So before starting, please like this video and subscribe to this channel for our future updates. Despite the fact that reptiles ruled the globe long before the arrival of mammals, their alien-like traits and bizarre behavior continue to captivate researchers and pet owners alike. Reptiles, when compared to other types of pets, often require less space to live happily and cost less to feed than other types of pets. Despite the fact that they are more exotic than regular critters, some species require specialized care and are therefore inappropriate for first-time owners. Here are top 10 most popular reptiles. So let's start. Number 10. Leopard gecko. Some geckos are wary of being handled, but the leopard gecko is one of the most docile reptiles you can keep as an indoor pet. When compared to other reptiles, they require less time to become acclimated to their new surroundings. Leopards do not require a vertical tank with branches because they are ground dwellers. Nevertheless, they do require a small cage with a substrate so that they can dig. The substrate should be composed of recycled paper or reptile carpet, whichever is more appropriate. Using cedar or other wood substrates is not recommended since the lizard's soft feet will be cut by the sharp edges, and sand might cause digestive problems if swallowed. You should aim for a humidity level of 30% to 40%, and you may achieve this by placing a shallow dish of drinking water in the tank to keep the humidity level constant. During the day, they require an 88 degrees Fahrenheit basking area provided by an incandescent light, but you can use a UVB light/heater for nocturnal heat if you have one available. The crickets, waxworms, and mealworms eaten by leopards, as well as the insects consumed by juvenile lizards, must be thrown in a vitamin powder before consumption. The vitamin coating is only required every other day for adults. When it is hungry, the lizard will chirp and swing its tail, making it more loud than other geckos in the area. Housing more than one gecko in the same enclosure is not suggested for beginners. Male geckos should not be kept in the same enclosure since they will attack each other. Number 9. Bearded dragon. Despite the fact that this docile creature has an aggressive side, owners are unlikely to notice it. This Australian native is light tan with a spiky beard around its neck that inflates when it feels threatened. They are tolerant of handling, and the majority of them remain calm while perched on their owner's shoulder. Bearded dragons have a particular diet that includes fruit, vegetables, and insects, despite the fact that they make ideal first-time pets for beginners. Adults can eat only once a day, however children must be fed 3 times a day on average. They only require 30% to 40% humidity, but because they are diurnal reptiles, they require at least 12 hours of sunlight and a heated basking place set at 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Because their frames are more resilient than those of other lizards, youngsters can safely handle them under adult supervision. To maintain a bearded dragon healthy and happy, its optimal cage is 55 gallons in size and should be filled with rocks, branches, and substrate. Number 8. Corn snake. A corn snake is a good choice for novices because it is simple to use. Growing to barely 4 feet tall, eating only once every 2 weeks, and adapting to handling without incident, this species is an uncommon find. If, on the other hand, you are uncomfortable with the idea of feeding a snake pre-killed rodents, this may not be the appropriate pet for you. In order to thrive, corn snakes require low humidity levels ranging from 35% to 60%, as well as an ambient temperature of 80 degrees Fahrenheit to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. In order to keep the temperature in their enclosure above 75 degrees Fahrenheit at night, it should be situated away from windows and drafts. It is critical to have a tightly fitting lid because the species has been known to escape if the top screen is not properly secured. Despite the fact that they are tolerant of handling, they require a hiding place in their tanks in order to be comfortable. Ideally, you should use paper or carpet as a base, but you may also use aspen shavings on top of the paper or carpet to make excrement disposal easier. Cedar and pine are known to irritate the skin of snakes and should be avoided at all costs. Because the creature defecates in its drinking water from time to time, the water should be changed on a regular basis in order to maintain the reptile healthy. Number 7. Gargoyle gecko. Gargoyle geckos can survive up to 20 years in captivity, despite the fact that they are one of the least expensive animals to buy, $40 to $50. They enjoy climbing, and a reptile vivarium with live plants, a soft, absorbent substrate, and hiding areas is the ideal habitat for this species. A stressed gargoyle will release its tail, which is a telltale sign that it is in distress. Gargoyles are docile lizards that accept handling. The tail of the gargoyle, in contrast to other geckos, grows back after a few months. Because they prefer temperatures below 85 degrees Fahrenheit, incandescent light is all that is required for the tank to function properly. Some gargoyles can be finicky about their food, although the majority of them eat crickets, mealworms, and roaches as their primary sources of nutrition. This can be accomplished by misting the enclosure every day and maintaining humidity levels between 60 and 70% using a hygrometer. This will simulate the lizard's natural environment. Gargoyles are peaceful, but their sticky feet allow them to climb with agility and speed. When the reptile is out of the tank, it is critical to keep an eye on it to ensure that it does not escape. Number 6. Crested gecko. The crested gecko, which has small barbs on its eyelids, is sometimes known as the eyelash gecko because of its appearance. The fact that their care requirements are quite basic makes them an excellent choice for beginners, yet they require higher humidity than other species. If they are misted twice daily with filtered water, the humidity in their enclosure should be between 60 and 70%, according to the manufacturer. A 20-gallon terrarium loaded with branches, bark, live plants, and soft substrate will provide the lizard with a happy and comfortable living environment. Crested geckos eat a variety of foods, including fresh fruit, insects, and commercial reptile food, and they thrive on this diet. They are not as docile as the gargoyle or leopard gecko, despite the fact that they tolerate handling. It doesn't bother them to crawl around in their tank, though you may want to avoid handling them for extended periods of time if they're nervous. It is possible for crested geckos to lose their tails if they become overly stressed, and the tails will not grow back. They can also bite if they feel threatened, however the bite is not noticeable, and does not cause any blood to be drawn from them. Number 5. Rosy boa. In case you've never had a snake before, the rosy boa is a fantastic choice for a first-time snake owner. Despite the fact that females are slightly larger and longer than males, the majority of adults are less than 3 feet in length. Even though they're slow-moving and accepting to handling, they've been known to bite when startled. The snake, on the other hand, is normally peaceful if you treat it carefully and give it with the proper living conditions. They do not require high humidity, 50%, but they do require a basking environment with temperatures ranging from 90 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. A halogen light can be used to replicate daytime lighting, and a low-wattage heat lamp can be used to keep the heat maintained. The temperature can dip as low as 72 degrees Fahrenheit during the night. Rosaceae do best in an enclosure with a rock substrate, a variety of branches and rocks, and a variety of desert grasses. Feeding is only required every 2 weeks for adults above the age of 3, and unlike other snakes, the rosy is not finicky about what it eats. Despite the fact that they are excellent for beginners, rosy boas necessitate a long-term commitment because to their 30-year lifespan. Number 4. Ball python. Ball pythons are significantly larger than rosy boas and require significantly larger cages, although they have temperaments that are very similar. They are generally not aggressive and will tolerate being handled. They should not be handled after feeding, however, to avoid an unintentional bite from occurring. The ball python, like the corn snake, is extremely adept at evading capture. A 40-gallon tank with a tight-fitting top is required to maintain them in their proper location. The ambient temperature should be around 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and the tank should have a basking region with a temperature range of 90 degrees to 95 degrees Fahrenheit under a heat lamp. For daytime exposure, UVB lights should be used, and the humidity should be kept below 60% at all times. Female pythons can grow up to 5 feet in length, however male pythons are often only 3 feet in length. They can live for 30 years or longer if given the correct care. The inactive phase of a snake is one of the few things that new reptile owners are concerned about. They experience a loss of appetite while in brumation and may only consume food once a month. When their reptiles refuse to feed, some reptile parents become concerned, despite the fact that this is normal behavior. Number 3. Russian tortoise. On our list, the Russian tortoise is the only pet that can be temporarily housed outside, and caring for the unusual species will need a 40-year commitment on your part. Despite the fact that they are rare and have a short lifespan, tortoises are not difficult to care for and should be considered for inclusion on this list. They are capable of being handled, although they prefer to observe humans from a safe distance. Russian tortoises are herbivores that do not require thawed mice or live insects to survive and live for a lengthy period of time in the wild. Grasses, flowers, and weeds are all edible to them, but they are unable to digest animal protein or grains. They typically grow to be 8 inches in length and require a spacious habitat with a substrate for burrowing in order to survive. Their indoor habitat requires 60% humidity, as well as a basking zone heated by a heat lamp that maintains a temperature of 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Russian tortoises can be kept outside during the warmer months as long as they have access to dirt where they can dig to avoid the heat. It is necessary to have a fenced-in backyard, and the fence posts must be buried deeply in order to prevent escape. Owning a Russian tortoise might be a rewarding experience if you have a few decades to spare. Number 2. Pink-tongued skink. The pink-tongued skink is an appealing reptile with a docile demeanor, thanks to its lengthy body, expressive eyes, and stubby legs. They're rather easy to care for in comparison to other lizards. Pink tongues can be handled if given several days to adjust to their new surroundings, but they can bite if disturbed or frightened. Skinks should not be held by infants, but older children can handle them with adult supervision. The pink tongue thrives in a tall enclosure with branches, rocks, hiding nooks, and a cypress mulch substrate. The lizard's habitat should be humidified to 70% to 80%, with a warm spot of 80 degrees Fahrenheit and a cold spot of 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Pink tongues are quick climbers that like to get out of their tanks, so make sure the lid is tight and the screen isn't broken. Pink tongues, unlike some of their relatives, are not picky eaters. Fruit, worms, insects, and even cat kibble are among their favorite foods. Number 1. African fire skink. We think this lizard is one of the most beautiful on our list, with bright red scales and vibrant black and silver colors. African flames tolerate handling for short periods of time, despite not being as docile as some of the reptiles at the top of the list. A tall terrarium with branches, rocks, hiding areas, and cypress mulch substrate is ideal for the lizard. They'll need UVA light and a heating source to keep the temperature between 80 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature in the basking area should be between 93 and 96 degrees Fahrenheit, with humidity levels between 70 and 75%. Maintaining humidity in the tank can be as simple as misting it twice a day and leaving a shallow water bowl. African fire skinks eat mealworms, crickets, and waxworms that have been coated with calcium powder. Every week, you simply need to give them 5 to 6 insects. They travel quickly, and you must keep a close check on them once they've exited the tank. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoy this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.